Hey everybody, this is Joe Joseph, and this is the DailySheeple.com's News Shot. I'm going to go to globalresearch.ca, as there was just a fascinating article written by Vladimir Kozin. The first 100 days of Donald Trump's presidency in military terms, a Russian perspective. This is something that we don't normally get too much, is the opposite side perspective of things here in the United States, because everything's propaganda. Everything is pushed from, of course, our government's point of view. And that's not always, or should always be, the only point of view that you take into account, especially something as serious as perhaps the start of the Second Cold War. Now, interestingly enough, I'm watching this series on Netflix, The Blacklist, and the cabal that is basically the main characters fighting against has, for lack of a better term, conspired against humanity to get their agenda going and keep it going. And this is it's following that same tact where, you know, you have these provoked wars and false flags that bring about instability, that bring about profitability for the military-industrial complex and so much more. All of these, you know, these individuals in the cabal, they all profit from it handsomely. And this is no different. I mean, the fact that they're actually talking about that in mainstream entertainment now is very fascinating. Why are you putting out in the public consciousness? Unless perhaps there's so many people out there that actually get it. It's like the secret that everybody knows but nobody's talking about. Like marijuana, right? Everybody does it but nobody says it. So it's the same thing, you know? And so Donald Trump, still a lot of people out there that are trying to, you know, it's the Trump, got to give him time, No, look, more of the same. Only this time we're seeing a huge push on the militarization front to lurch forward. And this Russian perspective is very interesting. I'm just going to give you an excerpt out of it, and you can read the rest for yourself over at globalresearch.ca, and the link will be in the description box below. But it says, of course, April 29th, that was yesterday, marks the 100th day of Donald Trump's in office, a man who, unlike many of his predecessors in recent decades, lacks any practical experience serving in government's executive or legislative branches, or even in the military. This 45th U.S. president, whose bid for office was supported by military officials and lobbyists from the military-industrial complex, who are focused on shoring up, quote, American supremacy over all other countries, has managed during this short period to either resolve or demonstrate the readiness to resolve the following military and political challenges. And he gets into them all, but some of them are, you know, the whole idea, or the way they're doing it, is peace through strength, you know, almost that Teddy Roosevelt, the carry a big stick type of mentality. Now, for the United States and from our perspective, you know, that's all well and good, but it's really not our place to push our ideologies and our worldviews on other countries or cultures that may see things differently. And that's exactly what we've done since even before the 40s. You know, we've been the pawns and the puppets of the powers that shouldn't be. I would wager to say it probably happened around the time of Woodrow Wilson. That's when it really started to kick into gear with the implementation of the Federal Reserve. And then, of course, soon after, the League of Nations. We didn't get into it, thanks to some pretty strong voices in Congress at the time. Guys like Charles Lindbergh Sr., very pivotal in doing some of the things that needed to be done to keep us out of trouble, or at least kick the can down the road a little bit. And he did just that, trying like heck. I think that's a lot of the reasons why the Lindbergh family ran into so many issues, was because Dad was such a staunch anti-money trust kind of person. And the money trust is actually who we call the New World Order or the Illuminati today. Same thing. But Donald Trump is, you know, here he is, a billionaire. He's part of the club, whether or not you choose to admit it or not. You know, he's rough around the edges. Don't get me wrong. He's a New York guy. New York people are rough around the edges oftentimes. But he's promised to increase the military budget by about 10%. That's huge. Absolutely enormous increase. To us, it's a drop in the bucket, right? Because when you talk about spending close to $600 billion, what's another 60? But you don't realize what $60 billion, that's a lot of money. That's like basically Russia's military budget for the year, maybe a little bit less. I think they're about 80 billion. So just think about that. Our increase is actually like the Russian military budget for the year. Just about. Check out this article and get that perspective, the other side of the fence. See what they're thinking and what they're writing about, and then form a decision, you know, or make some sort of a basis of understanding in your head. Whatever it is, but I can tell you this, the propaganda that we're being fed here in the United States is exactly that. It's propaganda. It's what they want you to think. It's what they want you to know. And we can't be lemmings jumping off a bridge anymore, whether it be to support these wars. And if you don't, you're un-American, you're not patriotic, blah, blah, blah. You know, there's a whole myriad of things that they try to push on you. And if you don't, well, you know, you're not part of the collective. You're not part of the club. And they make you feel like an outcast. Well, let me tell you something. You are an outcast, but that's a good thing. That's a good thing. You know, me being a Christian guy, Jesus said, my people are a peculiar people, and that we are indeed. All you people out there that are pushing for the truth, that are searching for the truth, that's heart is truly seeking, that wants to see justice in this world, that doesn't want collectiveness, that wants to celebrate individuality. We're a peculiar people. It's just that simple. So stop worrying about everybody else and stop trying to fit in. Let's all be unique together. I'm Joe Joseph. This was thedailysheeple.com's News Shot. Feel free to comment below and visit our website over at thedailysheeple.com. Have a great day.